Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next edition or the next Threat Talk LinkedIn live session. My name's James Allpress, Director of Product Marketing at BioCatch, and today I'm joined by Anita. Anita, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, James. Hi, everyone. My name's Anita Duong, and I'm the Threat Analytics Manager for APAC. And I've been with BioCatch for nearly 3 years. Prior to this role, I was working in the AML and KYC domain.
Excellent stuff. Okay, so we've got quite a bit to cover in a short amount of time. But Anita, if you don't mind, first things first, I want to bring up the Asian Pacific Threat Intelligence Report. So rather than go through the exec findings type stuff straight away, I thought perhaps it'd be good to kick off with a question around. So Anita, what did you expect to see in the report? But also, what did you not expect to see coming out of the report and the findings?
Sorry, James. Did we want to go with at the start in terms of what my average day looks like? Did we want to start with that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, I forgot about that. Right.
All
Okay.
good, all good. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
take
right, let's
two
start
on
again.
that one.
Yep.
And then we'll jump straight into the report.
Gustavo, take two.
Take two, yeah.
Okay. 5, 4, 3. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next edition of Threat Talk LinkedIn Live. My name's James Allpress, Director of Product Marketing at BioCatch. Joining me today is Anita. Anita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, James. Hi, everyone. My name's Anita, and I'm the Threat Analytics Manager for APAC. And I've been with BioCatch for nearly 3 years. Prior to this role, I was working in the AML and the KYC domain.
Fabulous. Right, lots of detail, lots of things to go to in a short amount of time. But before we dive into all of that, why don't we start off with perhaps what an average day for Anita looks like?
Yeah, no worries. So as a threat analyst in BioCatch, my main objective is to help customers leverage our, behavioral biometric solution to combat fraud. So my typical day would begin with checking in with customers to ensure they're maximizing the value of our solution. This involves nurturing strong relationships by being their go-to expert for, any questions or challenges they may face in both the fraud detection and prevention landscape. And so being a threat analyst, we recognize that each customer is unique. And so we actually take the time to understand both their technology and operational landscape to ensure that we provide the best solution and approach to reducing fraud. So I guess given the dynamic nature of fraud, we're always in constant communication to make sure we stay proactive. And another pivotal aspect of my role involves educating both potential and existing customers on the nuances of BioCatch and how behavior biometrics can specifically address their key challenges. And on certain occasions, we work with them to tactically implement rules to counter the immediate fraud trends that they're seeing. I work with also many teams within BioCatch, including a very smart data science team, and we work closely to, optimize the model fraud detection rates and ensure that we're identifying potential threats and stopping the bad actors as soon as possible. And we're always researching emerging threats such as, bots, malware, scams, remote access to ensure that we're always one step ahead. And so every day is different. It's filled with many challenges and learning, but it's a dynamic environment combined with, our innovative approach. It makes it truly fulfilling.
Wow. So it sounds very busy to me, Anita. Great stuff. Okay, so let's talk about some other things. So first thing I would like to bring up, if it's okay, Anita, is the APAC fraud intelligence report. Rather than do the executive summary key findings thing straight away, I thought we would kick off with, well, actually, now it's all said and done, what were the things that you did expect to see coming out of the report? But also, what are the things that you didn't expect to see coming out of the report, please, Anita?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I was reviewing the report, I guess it was no surprise to me the scam was on the rise, given the broader context, as banks are enhancing their technology defenses, especially with the account takeover solution and the implementations of, 2FA, where you put in a token or an SMS. Criminals have to adopt as well. So, recognizing the challenges in breaching these improved security layers, they perceive that scamming, even though it is tend to be a longer game, so to speak, for fraudsters, but it proves to be a straightforward avenue of illicit gain. So, the shift aligns with the more observed increase in well-organized scam rings that we're actually seeing in APAC region. And so we actually see all scam types has increased proportionally compared to 2022. The most prominent, unfortunately, is our investment scams, and they are a significant problem as they can go on for a long period of time and can involve very high value losses, sometimes people's life savings. So, unfortunately, that is something that we're continuing to still prove to be a challenge, and we're continuing to put up a good fight with working with our bank counterparts and make sure that we reduce the losses. I guess one other aspect, that stood out to me that was kind of unexpected was the prevalent fraud in the existing payees, or kind of like non-first time payments, where fraudsters take over the accounts, they use pre-established business payees, and then they craftily, trick the business into refunding the account into a different account. So, that's quite startling, something new that's come up this year. And I guess lastly, even though that phishing has obviously constantly been a challenge for the banks, now that they're able to leverage AI technology, we've got ChatGPT, large learning models as well, where they create even more authentic, deceptive tactics. That's quite concerning. And I think that's one of the main reasons where banks and bycatch need to remain proactive and always ensuring that we're one step ahead of these ever-evolving fraud challenges.
Okay, wow, thank you. Okay, so that's a really good snapshot of what came out of the region, what came out of the report. So in your opinion, is there certain countries in the region which stuck out for you in terms of, wow, wasn't expecting that, or not surprised to see that?
Yeah, I'll definitely say, the scam kind of rings that's coming out of APAC. That wasn't as prevalent a few years ago. There used to be more individual actors here and there, but now that they're becoming a ring, and they're definitely more so taking place, targeting the more vulnerable and senior members of our community, that's also been quite surprising.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I myself, I sit in the EMEA region, and 2-3 months ago we did the EMEA fraud intelligence report.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask you, did you notice any parallels between the two different regions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the clear ones, when I read both of the report and seeing it firsthand for APAC, is the increase in scams. That's also a growing problem within EMEA, and that was the reason why, the regulators introduced a potential thing called PSR, if I've got that correctly, where it mandates the banks and the payment entities. And so what that ensures is that, the victims of the authorized push payment fraud will be reimbursed. And so therefore pushing, the banks and the institution to have more means against measuring and, against fraud that's taking place. And so in practice, what this actually means is that a shared reimbursement responsibility, where both the sending and the receiving payment banks would shoulder the cost equally. So it'd be like 50-50. And so this new framework is meant to be established in 2024. And so I guess given, those developments in the UK, and Australia is actually observing and going to see how successful it might be. And given that approach, we might adopt the same if it is proven to be successful. And so, banks in Australia are now starting to scrutinize the incoming payments meticulously. They're putting teams together. And so, they're obviously keen to avoid any association with, fraudulent proceeds. And so that's where Bycatch can actually play a pivotal role where we're able to, provide banks advanced tooling to detect mules before the funds are actually even transferred.
I see. Yeah, and I think I think you've touched on a really important point there. Actually, I think we've seen we've seen scams diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing new scam types emerging all the time. But I guess
Mm-hmm.
one of the common things that they all have is this mule account, right? This destination account. All of these scams have got to go somewhere. So I guess from that respect, I mean, the money, rather, it's all got to go somewhere. From that respect, it makes sense to put a bit of focus on the mule accounts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're seeing is criminals, they don't want to get their hands dirty. So we actually see a lot of criminals employing mules. They're kind of obfuscated to be either like a job where, if you work from home, all you need to do is sign up and follow these simple steps, and you'll get a cut of the pay. And people go, oh, great. We see a lot of this actually in TikTok and Facebook as well. So a lot of youngsters are becoming mules unknowingly. And so that's how criminals find a way to actually move, like you said, the funds of the scam victims and potentially, offshore.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's such an interesting area. And, for me, one of the things I picked up recently as well is that there is this scale of complicity.
Mm-hmm.
So on one end of the scale, you have your complicit mules, people,
Mm-hmm.
the guys that know what they're getting into, they know what they're doing. But then on the other end of the scale, you've got a bunch of people that, as you say, they don't know what they're doing, what they're letting themselves into, and that, I think, fundamentally that's what's made mule account detection so
Mm-hmm.
complex in the past. Okay. That's really great, Anita. Okay, I'm just going to finish off with one more question. I guess it's a bit of a crystal ball type question. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, based on what you found in the 2023 reports, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
ask you. So, what if you could travel forward in time 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
when we do the 2024 fraud
Mm-hmm.
intelligence report, what do you anticipate to see in that report?
Yeah, I wouldn't put any money on this, but my gut feeling is that potentially malware, we could see a revival of these strategies, as mobile banking, especially in Southeast Asia, once their technology continues to improve, we can see different forms of malware start to be adopted and tailored for these types of devices. So, specifically, what malware we've seen in the past, such as T-bot, is that users will unknowingly download an app, and then they would actually take control when the users are asleep at night and make the transaction. So I think that might come back. And another one that we've seen a few instances of in Australia is called browser attack, or kind of a man in the middle, where the prevalence of online banking, where users are doing maybe say online payment shopping or transfers, and then the browser actually changes the payment method so quickly and discreetly before the users actually realize what's happening, and they submit the payment, and then the payment's gone to the fraudsters. So yeah, those are probably maybe the two that might come back.
Wow. I mean, when you hear about these new threat types, you just think the level of sophistication that these fraudsters now have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit frightening. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, I guess it just makes it super important for banks and financial institutions to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Anita, thank you very much for taking the time to join us. Hopefully that gave our audience a bit of a flavour of what to find out, what they can find out in the APAC Fraud Intelligence Report. So the final thing I'll say is, if anybody out there wants to dive into the detail even more, go to biocatch.com, check out our resources section, and Gareth Campbell, our head of the threat analytics team, he actually did a webinar on the report itself. So lots more detail, lots more findings from Gareth in that webinar. So check it out if you'd like to learn more. So I guess that just leaves me now to say, once again, Anita, thank you very much. And I'll say to the audience, goodbye, and until next time.
Thank you.